Hello, book connectors. Welcome back to the Book Connection. Visitors, should you happen upon the channel, feel free to join us. We'd love to have you here. Well, hello there, book connectors. Welcome back to the Book Connection. I am your host, Black Devil. So, before I begin the video, let me just apologize up front. My windows are up, the ceiling fans are going, and all of this is right in the middle of a celebration of sorts here where I am. Once a year, they offer what's called, or not offer, but they have something called Old School Weekend. And all that means is if you attended the city school systems ever in your life, you are invited to participate in Old School Weekend. So they go back to, I guess, different decades or whatever. They tailgate. They have the basketball games. They have the cheerleaders. They have the talent shows. All that went on all throughout the times that the school systems have been running here where I am. So, with that being said, you may hear excess noise, cars, horns, loud music, people laughing and talking. In fact, I just may have to redo this whole video. I sure do hope not. So, I just wanted to apologize in advance for any extra noise that you may hear in this video. So, in keeping with the old school theme, I was sitting here about a week or so ago whenever I uploaded the last video on this channel, which is the second book in the Seven Deadly Sins novel written by Victoria Christopher Murray. So I was like, what can I do? Who can I talk about? What? And it took me all this time. And then I was like, bingo! In keeping with the old school weekend, I decided, I was like, this would be a perfect person to do an About the Author segment here on this channel, I should say. And with that being said, the person that I have chosen to feature this week is none other than Jackie Collins. Yes, that's what I said, Jackie Collins. Now, most or some of you may not be aware of who she was. So, in a nutshell, I'll try to wrap this up in a couple of sentences. From the early 80s through the end of the 90s, Jackie Collins ruled the pen, and she had some blockbuster books there. She had a lot of them. Now, here's the kicker. I've read several of them. Unfortunately for me, I cannot tell you what any of them were about, which is rare for me that all I can remember is reading the books. I usually tell you the characters and whatever went down in the book. But the reason I said in keeping with old school weekends is because most or some of you, like I said, may not be aware of who she was, but just let me tell you, what I remembered most from reading her books, I took away two things. The first one is that it was so much in this hurry up and try to keep the secret, because grown folks didn't want you to read her books. Her books were racy, they were risque, they were tawdry, they were anything but romantic. You had all types of twisted plots and deletions and all this. It just goes on and on for days. Yes, yes, yes. So I can remember always trying. Okay, let's just put it like this. Her books were so good that, a blind person may feel the need to sneak and read them, knowing that they or he or she is the only person in said household that reads Braille. I ain't the only person in the house to read Braille, so there was no need to try to sneak. But that's what I walked away with, mostly, more so than the stories and plots themselves. The other thing I took away from her books, I must say, that she was the first author that I personally learned that most books or stories have underlying stories. It's like two stories in one, but that underlying one usually is far darker and deeper than the surface, whatever it is. So those are the two things I remembered most about Jackie Collins. So, quick question. Did any of you know that Jackie Collins had a relative already in show business by the time she became famous? Well, if you didn't know, you do now. She most certainly did have a relative who was well known to us here in the States by the time she arrived. And her relative is her older sister, Joan Collins. Yes, queen of the silver screen, stage, and television. Miss Joan Collins herself is Jackie's older sister. So now on with the telling of Miss Jackie Collins. Jacqueline Jill Collins, born October 4th, 1937 in Hampstead, London, England. The middle of three children born to parents, Elsa and Joseph Collins. Joseph Collins was a talent agent. Now, I've already said that Jackie is the younger sister, and so her oldest sister is Joan Collins. They also have a brother named Bill Collins who became a property agent. Is that the same as a realtor? I don't know, but that's what it sounds like to me. Well, I'm not exactly sure how long Joan had been over here in the States, but I do know that in 1956, Jackie came to visit, and I am going to refer to her from here on out as Jackie. She came to visit her sister Joan. And something happened I don't know, I think her paperwork or something didn't get figured out in time. So she had to go back to London. But then by 1960, she had become a naturalized citizen of the United States, which meant she held dual citizenship. And then in 1985, she decided to move to Los Angeles, California, which is where she spent the rest of her life. Her first novel, The World is Full of Married Men. The World is Full of Married Men. It was released in 1968. Now, before I go on and talk about other works by Jackie Collins, let me tell you, she was married, well, it said 3 times. Her first husband she married in 1960, and they divorced in 1964. They had a daughter, but the reason the marriage ended was because her husband had developed a chemical addiction. He started taking medicine supposedly to treat depression, but it just wasn't getting any better despite all of the meds he was on, and then he checked himself out the year the divorce was final. And together they had one daughter, Tracy. Well, the second marriage was to a man. I know the last name was Lehrman. Lehrman. I didn't bother to take notes. And he was 18 years older than Jackie. And they married in 1965, and they remained married until he passed away of brain cancer in 1992. Together, they had two daughters. The oldest daughter, I cannot remember her name, please forgive me. She was born in 1967. And then the last daughter was born in 1969. I think her name was Rory. And her husband adopted Jackie's older daughter, Tracy. And so, like I said, he passed, unfortunately, in 1992. Then she went on and met this other man. And here's where my question mark is. It said that she was married 3 times, but says that she got engaged to this third man in 1994. They were together until he passed away in 1998, but they were engaged the entire time. So I'm guessing maybe when they said married 3 times, that last one must have been like what was known as common law marriage. I'm not sure, but it definitely kept emphasizing the fact that she was still engaged. And once she was asked if she would ever marry again, and she was like, well, why would I? I've been loved by 2 wonderful men, one for over 18 years, and then the last one I was in love with, I had been with him for 6 sick years. So I guess she said she was just done being a nurse or whatever, I don't know. She used to say she always had someone whenever it was something going on or something to do. So she felt like she had lived a very full and rich life, even on her own. Okay, now, I think pretty much that's the biggest of what I've known about Miss Jackie until, unfortunately, I don't know what year she was diagnosed with breast. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Let me go back on that. She was diagnosed with breast cancer in like 2008, 2009, and she, they were just talking to her about what all could happen, but She never slowed down. She just kept moving. Whatever the treatment was working. And she just kept going on about her business or whatever. Even up to 9 days, she left the United States and flew back to England to promote something she was doing over there just 9 days before her death. And unfortunately for us, she passed away on September the 19th, 2015. And it was reported that she'd only made John aware of her illness just 2 weeks before she left us. And as far as the relationship between, excuse that you hear in the background, that's just me trying to record over another taping I had done earlier. Apparently, I didn't do a good job of cleaning it up, but, well, it wouldn't be me if I didn't have some sort of a blooper going on somewhere in my videos. Okay, but as I was attempting to say, I believe that the relationship Jackie and Joan had, I think they, I don't recall seeing or hearing any big squabbles or any, arguments or anything between them. So from that, I just feel like they probably got along. They probably, like any other family, might have had disagreements, but they were able to keep it out of away from us. And so that's good. I haven't seen anything where they disagreed so much that it became known to us. They both crossed paths. Their careers crossed paths because although Jackie was more successful as a writer, a novelist, she also dabbled in acting. In fact, that's what she was doing when she finally made it to the United States. She was considered more or less a B-list actress, but she did have some acting jobs. And Joan also dabbled in writing. She's published a book or two, but her main career has been in acting. So they both shared the arts in that way, and they were successful within their own rights, so much so that they they eventually crossed paths. And I think that Joan was more of a successful writer than anybody would have thought. But Jackie's movies never seem to have left the B list, never made it to the A list. Now you're about to start seeing some book titles come across the screen. She was known as the queen of the miniseries. However, I have tried my best to put these series together. And I know that first series is Hollywood series, Hollywood Wives, Hollywood Husbands, Hollywood Kids, Hollywood Wives, The New Generation, and what was that last one? Hollywood Divorces. And then you have the Lucky Santangelo series. But then there are 3 books that are included in that series. I have the titles listed, but I don't know what order they came in because I'm seeing 11 books in the main series, but then here are 3 more and it doesn't tell you what number which one goes. Then there is some other books that you will see. They are novels. They're series. I just can't remember the name of the series, and unfortunately, looking at the titles of looking at the book covers doesn't really help me much. But I put them in, and I do know I did read the Hollywood series. I did not read Hollywood Wives, The New Generations, or The New Generation, but I read the other 4. Now, what would make me go from Hollywood Kids to Hollywood Divorces? I don't know, but I did. But anyway, this is going to wrap up this about the author of Miss Jackie Collins. She was 77 years old when she passed away in 2015. For those of you who are really, if anybody is into what would that be considered? Astrology? Isn't that the study of or numerology or whatever? There were some significant dates. I don't know why, but like Jackie, her birthday was October 4th. That is my youngest sister's birthday. Jackie was born in 1937, so was my youngest sister's father. My stepfather was born in 1937. And then Jackie passed away on September the 19th. And that is my great niece's birthday is September the 19th. And I'm like, oh, am I supposed to be trying to put these numbers together? If so, what am I supposed to glean from? That just crossed my head, across my mind as I was putting this video together. But this concludes, rather, about the author, Miss Jackie Collins. Subscribers, thank you so much for being subscribed. Visitors, thank you for visiting the channel. You know the old routine. Feel free to join us. And everyone, please do not forget to like, share, comment respectfully, and by all means, please make sure to have your notification bell set to off so you'll know every time I upload a video. And in the meantime, book connectors, remember this. As long as there are books around, there is always something to read. And until we read again, book connectors, remember this. Be safe out there. Have a wonderful work week. And God bless.